it's also important to point out that corporations like Meta, TikTok, and etc., they hardly have their physical presence in Kenya, their offices. So it's very difficult to regulate them. Even as a government, it's very difficult to regulate. And I remember at some point, there was a call by, I think, by some cabinet secretary that Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and etc. should establish their presence in Kenya or they will be shut down. Although there is the other good side of it, especially in child safety and etc. But there is also the danger of the government using that, loophole
Going that
to
route,
yes
yeah.
to stifle the freedom of expression, especially people who are vocal about governance issues online.
Oasis of Justice. This is the Law and Justice Show, and with me in studio is Advocate Dickens OChieng, and we're talking about data privacy. And as we continue with the conversation, remember we are streaming live on TikTok and Facebook. You can send in your questions and comments at Haki FM1 on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Wakili, welcome back.
Thank you.
Tuendelee na hii discussion ya data privacy, and now I want us to pivot and talk about children. Do we have laws that speak to children's protection in terms of data, kando na the kawaida data protection laws?
I think in our country we have robust laws dealing with children, including the concept of the best interest of the child under the Children's Act, and of course even the Constitution, Data Protection Act. Actually, children data are part of sensitive personal data that should be handled with so much care and under the Data Protection Act. And it's the reason why when courts are dealing with children in conflict with the law, and the reason why they do not call them accused person, they actually refer to them as children in conflict with the law. Some of their, it's not, we do not normally see their pictures. We do not normally see their faces being paraded out there. That is to protect their identity. Yes.
So I saw this, there was an uproar recently when the students who are accused of starting the arson that saw the death of pupils at Utumishi Girls High School being presented in court, having covered their faces, and even in some instances the media was asked not to take photos, and they were kicked out of court at some point not to cover the proceedings. So does this still fall under data protection, and does this apply to children of all ages? Because if you look at these children, they are about 16, 17, almost adults. So does this apply to children across board?
Thank you so much. So in Kenya, someone is either an adult or a child. So anybody who is
no
below the
in
age
between.
of 18 years,
Yeah.
18 years of age is considered a child, regardless of where they are 17 and a half years of age. So the said children who are in conflict with the law, they are not accused person. They are children in conflict with the law, have their rights protected under the Constitution, best interest of the child, and of course Data Protection Act, so that their faces should be covered. Yes.
And do we have, when it comes to the Computer Cybercrime and Misuse Act, how do we specifically protect children? How does the law protect children specifically? Or does the buck stop just with the parents? Because children nowadays are so tech savvy. They have phones, they have tablets that they use to study and all that. So how does the law protect these children from adult content, from their faces being taken and used, from their content being misused? How does the law protect the children?
I think that is a hot debate globally as we speak, because I think the UK and France now have actually banned social media for children who are below the age of 16 years who are below 16 years of age. But in our country, Kenya, we do not have such laws that ban children below a certain age from accessing uh, social media, though there are several other laws that protect children online, including Sexual Offences Act, the DPO, Cybercrime Act, and etc. So there are several laws that protect children online, but as you have rightly pointed out, when children go online, they have access to so many things, including adult contents. And it's the reason why in other countries, as we speak, last month, the UK or the France have actually banned access to social media by children who are below the age of 16 years. 16 years old in Kenya. We see that a lot in Kenya. Children who are 13 years, who are supposed to be in school, we see them acting, we see them on TikTok posting concerning content as a parent and etc. And that is not the way it should be. And I hope Kenya will also get to that level where we will say that we don't want children below this age on social media. But now it is a free pass. Yes.
Do you think then there is a gap?
That is a genuine gap, but as I've pointed out, it is now debatable globally. So it has started in the UK, it's in France, and I know one of these days it will be in Africa. Or if we have a well-meaning MP, they may consider such proposals in Parliament to ban children below a certain age from accessing social media.
And besides a policy gap, I think there's also a knowledge gap, because most of these applications, they have a means to limit access to some sites for children, because there are parents who are very keen and they are very intentional on limiting content that can be accessed by their children on their phones. But I don't know how many parents know about this. I don't know how many parents have taken the time to put these measures in the gadgets that they are giving to their children.
That will require tech-savvy people, but I know algos, the way the algorithm works, they will normally give you information or advertisement or promotion on what you normally look at. But just to add, there is a suit now in the US. There's a suit in the US where they are suing Meta, which is the parent company for, Facebook and all these things. And they are suing Meta for a sum of money that is almost the entire net worth of Meta as it is now. And the substratum of the suit is that there is a way in which Facebook has affected children's mental health online. So you can see it's a raging debate globally. And I think we will get there at some point. But also, it's also important to point out that corporations like Meta, TikTok, and etc., they hardly have their physical presence in Kenya, their offices. So it's very difficult to regulate them. Even as a government, it's very difficult to regulate. And I remember at some point, there was a call by some cabinet secretary that Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and etc. should establish their presence in Kenya or they will be shut down. Although there is the other good side of it, especially in child safety and etc. But there is also the danger of the government using that, loophole.
Going that route, yeah.
Yes, to stifle the freedom of expression, especially people who are vocal about governance issues online.
Yeah.
So there's the advantage side of it, and then there's the disadvantage side of it. So it's normally, if there are ways in which parents can limit the content online, it's important that they do that. They do that as soon as possible, even as we grapple with these issues globally. But these days, I also see children are being born, but they have Instagram accounts. They are barely 1 year old. So it's
but they're updating us on their day-to-day lifestyle,
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And let's talk about AI now, Wakili. I remember I was having a conversation with a Gen Z, and they were saying, why would I need therapy? And I have Chat GPT. And you know what that means? It means that people are sharing a lot of their information, personal data, intimate information on AI especially. So where does the law come in? How do we know that this data that our people are giving to these artificial intelligence platforms are not being used in the wrong way? And Wakili, just like we are seeing, these companies are not based in Kenya, and they do not have a physical office in Kenya. So I can promise you we are not a priority to them. So where does the law come in? How does our laws ensure that the data that we give to these platforms is protected?
So first, thank you for that question, even as we have this global race on AI. So number one thing that I want to point out, I think our Data Protection Act was forward-looking, and I have to commend, Parliament for that, because number one, there's a provision on automated decision making. These things that HR used to, example, that's just an example, they actually use AI to filter applications and etc. We also have this issue of banks or the credit microfinance institutions using AI to filter out people that they can give loans and etc. So the Data Protection Act actually requires them to inform the person. They inform the person that they are actually using automated machines for decision making. Could be AI. That's number two. And it also gives the person the right to request review by human being, because AI is not human being. So I can request, if I sent an employment to Safaricom today and they did inform me that they are going to use AI to filter out CVs and mine has been left out, I can actually write to them and request them for a human review. So let them give it to a child to review it if I meet those minimum qualifications, and even for loans and etc. So I would want to commend Parliament for that, even though now we do not have a specific law that is regulating AI. I think we have a policy that is still under discussion or something, but we don't have a statute that is regulating AI. Number two, I want to warn people who feed data into ChatGPT that the information that you feed into ChatGPT can actually be used against you in a court of law. So don't confess everything. Don't confess everything to ChatGPT. That information may be extracted someday and it may be used against you. There are people who, even after committing an offense, they go into ChatGPT and they want to see, have I committed an offense here? What are the possible defenses? And that happened in the US. What are the possible defenses for this offense? Those information that they feed in there has been used against them. There's a case example now in the US where information that was put into ChatGPT has actually been used against the person. And the person argued that information that they actually typed in was protected by attorney client privilege.
Privilege.
But then ChatGPT is not an attorney, it's not an advocate. So people have lost cases that way. That is number two. Number three, parents should be concerned about ChatGPT. And I would still give an example in the US now. ChatGPT has been actually been sued for encouraging suicide, because your children, the way you say therapy, people going to the platform, they discuss their own personal issues. So there are instances where ChatGPT has actually encouraged children to commit suicide, and such cases have been brought before American courts, though we do not have such in Kenya yet.
Kenya, yeah.
And it's the reason why, with the emergence of ChatGPT, they used to say coding now is the, let me say, how they say that, is the new gold rush. But now I read Financial Times 2 days ago, and they are saying philosophers are now the new gold rush. So it means tech companies who are working with AI, Anthropic, ChatGPT, they are OpenAI, they are employing many philosophers because philosophers are able to pursue the truth. So what they feed into the system is the truth, unlike coders. But because of the ChatGPT as we know it now, it's actually biased. Whatever you ask it, that is what it encourages you to do.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But that is arguable because even when we were beginning, when AI was still new, especially in our country, there's the way you will detect. You will say that you will look. There are things you will look at and know that this is AI. Say if it's a photo, the fingers are more or they are less. But it has gotten better over time. And actually,
Exactly.
right now, you need to cross-check for you to confirm that actually this is a real photo and this is an AI photo. Yeah. So still on AI, Wakili, I would like to know, as I know you have talked about being careful about what we feed the these online bots and all that. There's another angle where I saw a while ago people were suing. I'm not sure whether it was ChatGPT, but it was just another platform, an AI platform, because they hire people to train and then they launch the platform. So these people were subjected to very extreme content in a bid to train the AI, and now they came out to complain later. Things including pornography and all that. So why do we have such things happening in our country, and does it mean that our law is not keen on such things? Because I believe if these companies are coming to out, and people are still, I know of people who still work with AI training companies abroad. Yeah? Of course they work remotely, but do we have laws that protect our people from such exploitation? And does it matter whether it is here or the company is based here or it's based outside?
Uh, Thank you for highlighting that. And I think that situation happened with the Meta content moderators. And it was a situation in Kenya, I think so. And it's a matter that is active in the High Court.
Yeah.
And what happened is that Meta had outsourced a company. So it is not Meta itself. They had
Okay.
outsourced a company that was based in Kenya that was now doing content moderation. And when Meta was sued, the first argument was that we don't have a presence in Kenya, so you cannot sue us. And that I also commend the High Court. The High Court actually disagreed that the fact that you don't have a permanent establishment in Kenya or physical office in Kenya does not mean that you can actually escape from such violations, and the cases are really active in Kenya. So I think that is an example of a case that I would say we Kenyans, we have one of the most transformative constitution. And so long as the High Court had agreed to admit that case and ruled that the fact that Meta does not have a permanent establishment in Kenya does not absolve him from being sued in Kenya, that is good progress already. And I apologize for the victims, and I hope they will get justice in the process. So that case is still active in court.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, it is common for people to share photos, videos, and personal information about other people on social media, especially without permission. And I've seen this so much with these news sites. I don't want to mention names, but say an influencer or a famous person is involved in a scandal, they go and grab a photo from their Instagram page, they put it and do a caption that is going to catch attention. Is this legal, Wakili?
So I think on that it will depend, because number one, politicians and influencers, most of them are public figures. So it's like they have their photos already there. They have millions of followers, and the photo is not being used in the news outlet for commercial purpose. It's not used for to generate an income. Although it's regulated we may say it is being used to generate income
In the long run, yeah,
indirectly,
yeah.
but it's not used like the photo itself is not being used for commercial purposes. And I think that may be excusable, but it would also depend on the purpose for which they are using the photo for. So it's for news and etc. And the photo is found on the influencer's page. I don't think it is unlawful to use it.
So by me posting my photo on my Instagram page, someone else is free to take it and, use it for news.
They can use it for news about you. I think so.
But
But I
that was
don't
not
think
my
they can use
intention.
it for
Yeah.
commercial purpose.
So the problem is commercial purpose.
Yes, for commercial gain.
That is quite interesting because I didn't post it for that purpose. And it is on my
It's on your
channel.
page.
It's on my
And your
page.
channel is a public page. You have those million followers, so you're a public figure.
So, okay. And now, when we talk about still artificial intelligence, we are going into a very interesting time in a few months to come, and we have seen people remake videos and put voices that mimic the person's voice, and yet it is not them who said these things. How can people protect themselves from such? Because I'm just looking at the situation in our country where political temperatures are very high. It is easy for someone to grab an image of someone and manipulate it using AI to spread propaganda. How do we mitigate this, Wakili?
Especially ahead of the elections, and
Right.
women are disproportionately affected, especially those who are vying for offices. So I think in as much as we do not have regulations or we do not have the laws that's regulating the use of AI, I think we can still rely on other laws, the Constitution, the Data Protection Act, and etc. Because it will also depend on the content of the information. For example, if somebody modifies a video portraying someone else as inciting ethnic violence, so I think that is not protected by the freedom of speech, for example. So it will also depend on what is what are they saying? What is that modified video depicting? Are they inciting people? What are they using it for? And I've seen some people have been arrested for portraying the president etc. And we have seen many people who are now at loggerheads with the law, but we will wait for jurisprudence from the courts. What are the courts saying in that regard? Then we can know the way forward, whether that is also protected speech. Yes.
What I'm reading from what you're saying, Wakili, is that we do not have specific laws that speak to these things.
Yes, AI is still, we don't have a statute regulating AI, the use of AI, whether online or offline. So it's still a gray area. But
Don't you
we
think that
can
is
still-
dangerous?
It's actually dangerous because countries are moving to regulate the use of AI. I think even in Kenya we have a policy, but a policy is always a stage to developing hard law that is now enforceable. Yes, I think we will get there.
Yeah. So what are some of these policies that could be or should be incorporated in Kenya's data protection framework in that regard?
In AI,
In
on the
regards
use of
to AI, yeah.
You see, the Data Protection Act came into force in 2019 before the advent of AI. AI is a later thing, but even at that stage, we still have provisions that have alluded to such as automated decisions, which actually protects us against arbitrary decision, for example, from employers or from banking institutions and etc. But still, especially on the creation of images, online videos, giving them voiceovers and etc. That is still largely unregulated. I am not sure how Parliament will deal with it, but I think once we have an AI statute, then they will actually be able to address some of those things. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Can somebody take my pictures, modify my voice with AI and say that, this was said by Dickens at this point. Yes. I've seen even interesting videos where the current DP is portrayed as boxing
Boxing the former
the opposition
DP.
leader. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, such
I mean,
things.
it's
But
crazy.
then
Yeah.
I want to point out that the freedom of speech in our country is so broad. Yes.
And you see, Wakili, it may look fun and games when we are talking about, you see now if they are boxing,
Yeah.
it's funny. Until a serious person or a journalist is portrayed reporting about something that didn't happen. And I have seen this especially in the rural areas. People have smartphones
Yes.
and they cannot tell that this is an AI edited video. This is not true.
Yes, even for people like us, it's difficult these
Yeah.
days to
Okay, for
differentiate.
us it's better because but for people in the rural areas, they are having a challenge. They will look at a video and they'll be like, mheshimiwa fulani alisema na niliona. And for sure, if you look at that video, it's an AI generated video. So
Yes.
I think it is a dangerous place to be, and the law should fast track this process of coming up with laws.
Absolutely.
As we conclude this discussion, Wakili, I would like to know, do we have a timeline where I'm required to report a breach of my data privacy? Say, I worked in a company back in 2005, and that time I didn't have the knowledge. But now I have the knowledge, and I get to realize that at that time, they violated my data privacy. Is it still valid if I go and file a complaint on the same?
So we on your example, if normally they say employment contracts are only enforceable if somebody files a case within 3 years at the Employment and Labor Relations Court, but that is not true for data protection. I think you can file your case anytime, your complaint anytime with the ODPC, because they don't have that limit in the statute. There is no statutory limit, as that data breach must be reported within this period of time. So you can actually still put in a claim at the office of the DPC to investigate what happened, what has just happened, because someone may have been holding your data from 205 to now, and you realize that they are still using it for other purposes. Yes.
So there is no timeline.
Yes.
Okay. And while on the break, we were talking about a recent issue where former students have been suing their universities because of using save their videos during graduation for subsequent advertisement. And we are speaking to consent. And we say that someone has a right to withdraw that consent. So how do institutions protect themselves so that they are not exploited by people? Because someone can consent to it, then tomorrow or in the morning of the graduation, they withdraw that consent. You have already printed these materials, you have already shared this information. How can institutions protect themselves to ensure they are not exploited in that regard?
So, number one, I remember when we went to the university, we took our pictures. No, our pictures were actually taken by the university for biometric purpose or for any other information. But for now, if you were to take pictures of a student at the university and you want to use them for promotional activities, because I've seen universities promote their intake using their students' pictures and etc., you will need that consent. And the other important thing is that once that consent is withdrawn, you cannot proceed to use it. Even as a former student now, my university cannot use my pictures for promotional purposes without my consent. So what institutions normally do is that if they want to use your picture or image maybe for promotional services in the long term, you may enter into a contractual arrangement, agreement on image rights. No, I'm giving you this image right for a period of 3 years, and you will be paying me this amount as royalties or etc. For use in promotional activities. That is what they normally do. Yes,
Okay.
but it is unlawful to actually use images for promotional purposes without consent.
I have had situations where you search for something or you Google something. Let me use the word Google something. And then when you go to social media, you get suggestions of the same thing that you have been searching online. And my question is, are companies allowed to do that? Because it seems as though that coincidence is too high. That I searched for an online store in Kenya where I can get a good shoe, and when I get to social media, that is the first thing that comes on my FYP. Is it lawful for companies to do that?
It is not actually the company that is doing that. It is the social media platform that you are using. So, for example, if that was Facebook, so they collect amount of information. In fact, the United States of America has data more than any other country in the world. They have a lot of data, almost more than any other country can ever have in the entire universe. So when you log in or you search something online, if you are using the Google browser, then it means that is alphabet you are using, and they are taking note of your pattern, the information that you normally search for. So it's the reason why if you are a traveler, you'll always go to Instagram and you'll only see promotion of hotels in Kenya, outside the country. If you are an author, that is what you Google about most of the time, you only see promotion of books and authors. So it's like the algo has been trained to capture information as to customize the same to you as an individual. And so they are owned by companies abroad, Alphabet, Meta, TikTok. Yes.
So does that mean me being on this platform means consenting to them?
So that has been problematic in itself, because from time to time you will always see emails from Meta. They're telling you that they have updated their policy, but we hardly read them. So those issues that they actually address.
Yes, we skip. That is
Yes.
so true.
Yes. So they say we have updated our policy on data privacy, and this, we do not read them. We just accept. Yes. But I think in other jurisdictions, especially in the European Union, Meta and those American companies have been penalized a lot of money. They have been penalized hundreds of millions, and especially on data violation of the citizens of the European Union online, just like the one you are saying.
Yeah.
Yes, they have been paying a lot of money in damages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's upon us to read terms and conditions.
And the terms and conditions are written in paragraphs. No, and even myself, I don't read them. I use the
But
platforms.
don't you think that is intentional, to discourage you from reading? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a time that our government was being alleged to be in talks with another government about selling our health data. One, do we as the I want to say as the, what is the word? We who have given that information, do we get to have a say, or the government has a final say? And is this even allowed to use data of your citizens and sell it to another country for purposes of research or whatever?
Thank you. Cross-border transfer of data and the way it's supposed to be done is actually provided for under the Data Protection Act. That is an active case in court, but we lawyers, we try as much as possible to refrain from discussing active cases, active matters in court. So we'll see where that gets to, but as a citizen, you have a right to know how this data is going to be transferred. It's the reason why that case was not dismissed in the first instance. It is still a case that is ongoing. And I think at some point there was a stay to prevent the government from implementing the same. I do not know the status now,
Yeah.
but it's an active case in court. Yes.
But we as citizens have
You
a
have
right.
a right. The reason why you have been able to access the courts
Yeah.
and say that, file a petition for your right, that, the data of millions of Kenyans are going to be misused or to be violated. And it's the same reason why WorldCoin was stopped from operating in the country, because WorldCoin is a US entity. So it was collecting data that we feared was going to the US. Yes.
And when it was stopped, are they asked to return the data that they had already collected or destroy?
Yes, they should be able to destroy the data that they have already collected. So
Does our government follow up to ensure that this data was actually destroyed?
I'm not sure if they have actually followed up.
Okay. Okay. I want to thank you so much, Wakili. And maybe what is one thing that you would like the listener to take away from this discussion as we close?
So our listeners should actually take their right to privacy and data protection seriously. Others see infractions, for example, people sending you promotional messages, real estate, there's a house, you want to buy this one, the etc. But they ignore them. Don't ignore. When you suspect that your data has been infringed, violated, go to the ODPC website, study the website and file a complaint. It's a simple process. Alternatively, you can seek legal advice from NGOs and from pro bono lawyers and etc. And they will be able to protect your rights. And the other thing is that data is so wide, especially sensitive data is so wide. It includes even sex and sexual orientation and etc. And I know those are some of the most contentious issues in Kenya. Yes. Yeah.
Are there any charges involved when you're going to file these cases with the ODPC?
There are no charges. It's free of charge.
It's absolutely free of
Yes.
charge.
Even reporting at a police station, if you feel that the infringement could amount to a criminal offense, there are no charges. Yes.
While you go to report such things to the police officer, how do you see something like your intimate information has been shared to the public? You already see how sensitive that is. How can the public be assured that they will not be victimized, even by the police themselves?
So I think some of these issues, especially sharing of intimate videos online, or even matters of sex and sexual orientations, even though we are protected under the law, these people are protected under the law, all Kenyans are protected under the law, the law enforcement officers, that is the police, do not take them seriously. I had a case last week where two of my clients who are actually queer went to report to a police officer, that they were being threatened by some individuals, but they could not even get an OB. They were taken in rounds. So these are issues that the law enforcement should actually take seriously. And if there are NGOs who are working in that space, they should be able to train law enforcement so that there's that awareness. They know that these are actually rights that somebody can report to them and that they should take action. Yes, I know Kenya is a predominantly religious country,
Yes.
but our laws are not religious. Yes.
Point to note. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Wakili, for making time to discuss with us matters of data protection. I know we have a lot that we have not exhausted, and you're welcome again to give us more and more information about data protection. And as we conclude, you can share with my listener your location, your contact, in case they want your services, where can they get you, and the kind of services that you offer.
So if there is anybody who will need to contact me for pro bono services, I love offering pro bono
How
services
nice.
free
Yeah.
of charge. They can email me at, let me say, dickens.legal@gmail.com. Or they can call me or WhatsApp me at 07 40 72 42 71. Yes, I can always advise on any pro bono matters, any issue touching on human rights. Yes.
Do you have a physical location?
Yes, at the piano along Brookside Drive in Westlands.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Wakili, once again.
Welcome.
All right.